Ferrari Leclerc started on pole, but based on long-run analysis, Red Bull had the quicker race car. But the Monegasque didn't buy that for 1 second, leading from the off and looking comfortable. Verstappen nearly undercut him through the first round of pit stops, but after some elbows-out action, Leclerc emerged in the lead and despite a late safety car restart, was able to close out a relatively straightforward win. As for Sainz, he was sandwiched between the Red Bulls all race, but when he suspected Verstappen had an issue, the Spaniard pounced to grab an impressive second on a dream outing for the Scuderia. Leclerc hails perfect start for Ferrari after tricky fight with Verstappen in Bahrain. Charles Leclerc, first coming into this season, we knew we would be in a better position than we have been for the past 2 years, but we didn't know exactly where we would stand. To be back on top with a car that is capable of winning feels incredible. A huge thank you to our whole team. You've done an amazing job, and this victory is for all of you. The race was tough and I gave it my all. Whenever I had a bit of margin behind me, I felt in control of the race and was managing the gap well. But after the first stop, things became more tricky. Max challenged me 3 times and I had to position myself in the right way to reclaim my position each time he passed me. Once the safety car came out, we lost the gap we had created and had to start again from zero. I knew I had to do the best restart possible, and I am glad I got the job done well. Car development will be more significant than in previous years, and we have to stay on top of our game. As for this weekend, we did everything right. Pole, fastest lap, the victory and second place for our team. Forza Ferrari. Carlos Sainz, second. This is definitely a day to celebrate for the entire team. Starting the season with a 1-2 is the perfect reward for the tireless work they have done over the last 2 years, and congrats to Charles on a solid win. We also want to share our joy with all our tifosi around the world because we always felt their support even when we were not fighting at the top. For me, I'm very happy with the result, but I'm not particularly happy with my race. It was probably one of the hardest ones since I joined Ferrari. I wasn't feeling at home with the car, and we need to understand why. But today it's time to celebrate this amazing result all together. The great effort to bring Ferrari back to the top, where it belongs, has paid off today and everyone deserves to enjoy it. We'll keep pushing next week in Saudi. Forza Ferrari. Mattia Binotto, team principal. I am very happy with this result, as our race today shows how well this team has worked over the past 2 years in Maranello. Personally, I have always had faith in them. They have worked as a united group and reacted to the difficulties we encountered. It's nice to see we are once again battling for first place, which is our goal for this season. To win in Formula 1, you have to do everything perfectly, and today we did just that, and that goes for everyone, the drivers, the F1-75, the engineers with the strategy, and the mechanics, who were impeccable at the pit stops. Seeing the way the team was able to make the most of every opportunity fills me with pride. Tonight, I wanted to go up on the podium to collect the Constructors' Trophy because I felt it was the best way to represent the whole team, back home and here in Bahrain. I have to admit it was an emotional moment. I am also thinking of the fans who have always supported us, even when things were a bit tricky, and I admit I can't wait to get to Imola to race in front of them. Next, previous enlarge 1 for Bahrain. Bahrain, March 20th. Race winner Charles Leclerc of Monaco, and Ferrari, and second-placed Carlos Sainz of Spain, and Ferrari celebrate in Parc Ferme during the F1 Grand Prix of Bahrain at Bahrain International Circuit on March 20, 2022 in Bahrain, Bahrain. Bahrain, March 20th. Race winner Charles Leclerc of Monaco, and Ferrari, and second-placed Carlos Sainz of Spain, and Ferrari celebrate on the podium during the F1 Grand Prix of Bahrain at Bahrain International Circuit on March 20, 2022 in Bahrain, Bahrain. Bahrain, March 20th. Race winner Charles Leclerc of Monaco, and Ferrari celebrates on the podium during the F1 Grand Prix of Bahrain at Bahrain International Circuit on March 20, 2022 in Bahrain, Bahrain. Bahrain, March 20th. race winner Charles Leclerc of Monaco, and Ferrari celebrates with his team in Parc Ferme during the F1 Grand Prix of Bahrain at Bahrain International Circuit on March 20, 2022 in Bahrain. Info close. Mercedes damage limitation was the name of the game for Mercedes, but they managed far more than that. Russell pulled off some good moves early on to climb from 9th to 6th, tracking his teammate, who was always a few seconds ahead. Hamilton had swapped places with Perez earlier on before the Red Bull man got back ahead, but Hamilton never let the Mexican get away and harried him all evening. The double-late retirement for Red Bull promoted the 7-time world champion to a somewhat unlikely podium, but a good haul of points is not to be sniffed at as they set about trying to solve that pace deficit to the Bulls and Ferrari cars ahead. Hamilton calls Bahrain podium pretty remarkable after troubled start to 2022 for Mercedes. Lewis Hamilton, third. A big congratulations to Ferrari. I'm so happy to see them doing well again. They are such a historic and epic team. It was a difficult race for us today. We've struggled throughout practice, and this is really the best result we could have got. Of course, it was unfortunate for the other two drivers, but we did the best we could and we are grateful for these points. I know the guys are working really hard back at the factory, and it is not going to be a quick turnaround, but we've been the best unified team for so long. We all know to just keep your head down, keep working. There's a long way to go. We've got to maximize our weekends, and at some point, we'll be back in the fight. George Russell, fourth. It was a positive race. I made a good start, and then Lewis and I were on a race of our own, albeit on different strategies. We came home with a P3 and P4 for the team, which we would have definitely taken prior to the weekend, so in a long championship, we can be pleased with how today went. Considering we're half a second behind in qualifying and probably the same, if not more, on race pace, it was a good damage limitation weekend. There's a lot of potential in the car, and we really need to dig down into the data and understand how to extract the performance. We recognize our rivals are a long way ahead of us. We know what the overall limitations of the car are, and we won't settle until we have the chance of the win. Toto Wolff, head of Mercedes-Benz Motorsport, today we were punching above our weight class, with the Red Bulls DNFing, but third and fourth is a fantastic result. I think with the soft tyre, on pure pace before the tyre degrades, we are almost there, not where Leclerc is but with the others. Then degradation is too big, and today, we tried to do something different by putting the hard on, but it was a second slower every single lap, so lesson learned. I think we were overwinged today. We had too much drag, and that is just because we are lacking parts at the moment, but hopefully we can remedy that and make progress on the top two's advantage. We really need to leave no stone unturned on the PU side and look for all performance gains, but the wing was the issue for us today on straight line speed. At the moment we are 5th and 6th on the track, and we are trying to recover ground, but it is not going to come from one day to the other. We'll keep pushing. Andrew Chauvelin, Trackside Engineering Director, we knew we weren't quick enough coming into the weekend, so our goal for this weekend was one of damage limitation in the championship. In terms of pace, we are more or less on our own. We couldn't realistically put any pressure on Red Bull and Ferrari, and we weren't really under any pressure from behind. This allowed us to play a bit with the strategy, moving quite early to a 3-stop with Lewis. Our priority has to be to get on top of our current performance issues. We don't have a car to fight for pole or race wins, and that isn't something that we can tolerate for long if we ambitions to win the championships. The balance was quite tricky, but the main issue is just a lack of grip, caused by the fact that we have to run the car so high to avoid the bottoming. However, the weekend hasn't been without its positives. The gaps are pretty big, but we can see so much performance that we can bring relatively quickly. The team has also worked well, and the car has been reliable. We have a lot of ideas to explore to improve our pace, and we'll be working hard over the next few days and weeks to bring those to the track. Next, previous in Large 1 for Bahrain, March 20th. Third placed Lewis Hamilton of Great Britain, and Mercedes celebrates on the podium during the F1 Grand Prix of Bahrain at Bahrain International Circuit on March 20, 2022 in